you. Damien Hines?
Thank you, Chairman. Can I ask you, Tony? So there's been a lot of focus on the share of the streaming revenue that goes to record labels. But I want to ask about the share that goes to the streaming platform, which seems to be remarkably high. I just wonder why you allow that. Is it ingratitude for having been saved from the pirates, or is it more to do with the market dominance of a handful of leading platforms?
It's a difficult question to answer because every single streaming platform and our relationship with them is subject to an individual negotiation.
But there are a small number of very large ones, aren't there?
Absolutely. And what I was going to go on to say is it's a two-way negotiation. We have rights in music, they have their interests, and we get the negotiation which is not hidden in any way and governed by the market to the best place we can for our artists. As David says, the difference as I see it is our interests are 100% aligned with our artists. We are interested in licensing our copyrights, albeit on fair terms. We'll make the odd decision around something like freemium or free music, where we think we can expand the market and that pool that I talked about several times before. Platforms support music, but ultimately they are delivering for the economics of their platform. I can't really speak to whether they're getting the right amount. I've seen public comment on some of them not being financially, not making money. They might argue themselves. I think when you speak to those platforms, you should ask them about the amount they take.
Well, don't worry, Tony, we will. And I want to come on to freemium in a moment. But just now, so do you recognise the figure of about 30% of total revenue going to the platforms? And given everything you have on your side, you have all the content, you have all the talent, you have all the entertainment. Does that level of remuneration for the platform not suggest something of an imbalance in power?
It's the result of a market-led negotiation, and I don't think I can comment on whether that's what I think about that level. I think they have substantial and huge costs. They also run in globally, and they have many staff. But I really think you have to direct that question towards the DSPs.
Mr. Hines, I would like to say we have fierce negotiations with the DSPs. They're ongoing all the time. I really. It's important to say that when our artists win, we win. When we win, our artists win. Anything we could do to make that as big a share as possible. I think you'll find some comments from them about, one maybe about Safe Harbour and Article 17 and the fact that it can be free on YouTube. And one may be this, we've got lots of overheads and lots of data and lots of technology. So a bit like the old record store days when they have a margin. I'm all for the platforms to get remuneration for what they put into the market, and I'd like as many services and tech platforms as possible for the fan. But yes, we argue all the time over how much of that should be for the labels and the artists.
We are very, very short of time. I want to turn to Jason, please, and ask about freemium. So back to the old days that David was talking about, I mean, you wouldn't give away your clients' work for free, apart from the occasional flexi disc sellotaped on the front of a magazine. With freemium, aren't you effectively just financing the expansion of these platforms? Why would you give away your clients' work for free like that in the interest of the platform?
Well, services such as Spotify are ad funded, and my personal view is we would much rather that the ad funded model was not there, that actually the people literally went to subscription straight away. That's 95% of our revenue comes from the subscription model. Spotify argue very, very strongly that ad funded model is the funnel into subscription.
But Jason, of course, Spotify say that. That's how they grow their market share, by giving the product away for free, financed by this massively reduced royalty that goes to you and your artists, and then they can convert some of those people in time to paying customers. Of course, they say that.
The revenue from the ad funded model is incredible. It's 5%. The subscription model is 95%. And if their model says that as a result And I understand your point.
By revenue, not by numbers, right? By revenue, not by volume.
I don't disagree. I would get, quite frankly, if the ad-funded model went tomorrow, I'd be delighted. But Spotify's business model says it works for them. And again, I think that's a conversation you should have with them. I sympathize with your point. I'm not disagreeing with you. But that's what their business model says, is that part helps increase subscribers. I'm with you.
Let me turn to Tony for my final question. So you could say that this situation works very well for most people. It works well for the platforms who are growing their income. It works well for record labels because you get stable income from subscription services. And actually, arguably, it works very well for the consumer because you can get an awful lot of music for an affordable price. But arguably, it doesn't work so well for those consumers in the medium term if artist development and new talent hasn't shared in that success in the same way. How do you react to that?
I'm assuming, sorry, Damien, to be difficult, but by this situation, you mean the current balance?
Yeah, absolutely. The move to streaming, the move away from piracy before, but also, frankly, the move away from physical sales back in the day. The fact you've now got consumers paying a fixed monthly price, a very predictable revenue stream for the label, and actually a relatively affordable price for most people in terms of the vast amount of music they can get for it.
Well, I think our answer to that would be along the lines of, it's still a pretty new industry. Someone spoke about this earlier. The balance is still there. When we talk about share of digital music, in reality across the world, digital music is about 65%. It's been a thing for, as we've said, for maybe 5 or 6 years. If you consider the lifespan of the CD or vinyl, 30 years, the economics are working their way through. And as I said in my answer to Mr. Brennan, increasingly we're seeing larger and larger numbers of artists who are getting to the million stream, the billion stream, the multi-billion stream, and we're seeing that grow all the time as the economics of this industry work better and better. They're all about how much consumption there is, and all of these different answers. When you go back to your freemium answer, it's all about the maximum number of people encountering music, falling in love with music, like David, Jason, and I all did 30 odd years ago, and enjoying music, and then gradually saying music has value. That's something that we as a company, we're always fighting for the value of music. And that is how I would look at that situation. This is an evolving situation. It's being well governed by a market that's efficient and nimble, and it doesn't need any change, and any disruption could diminish UK competitiveness at a time when I feel the UK needs to be the home of recorded music, just as it is by providing 1 in 10 streams around the world, by being the #2 export business. We need to be getting on with making the UK the absolute best place to invest in music.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.